Hi everyone, how you going? Back again. Hope you're having a great day wherever you're in the world, and if you're watching in the future, I hope it's better than what it currently is. And hello to all my subscribers, non-subscribers, trolls, bots, and the lurkers alike. Welcome. Okay, this one's following on from the Murray man, this guy, but I'll do the Reformer next, but this one, the dreaming. Okay, the Dreamtime. The dreaming, also referred to as the Dreamtime, is a term devised by the early anthropologists to refer to the religio-cultural worldview attributed to Australian Aboriginal beliefs. It was originally used by Francis Gillen, quickly adopted by his colleague Baldwin Spencer, thereafter popularised by A.P. Elkin, who, however, later revised his reviews. The dreaming is used to represent Aboriginal concepts of Everywhen, during when the land was inhabited by ancestral figures, often heroic proportions or with supernatural abilities. These figures were often distinct from gods, and they did not control the material world and not worshipped by only the revered. The concept of the Dreamtime has subsequently become widely adopted beyond its original Australian context and is now part of global popular culture. The term is based on a rendition of the Adriatic word, I can't even say that, Altrahurigina, I'm sorry, used by the Andra people of Central Australia, although it has been argued that it's based on a misunderstanding or mistranslation, and that wouldn't surprise me. Some scholars suggest that the word's meaning is closer to the eternal, uncreated. Anthropologist William Stenner said that the concept was best understood by non-Aboriginal people as a complex of meanings. Jack Pura is a widespread term by the Warrapai people, sorry for saying this wrong, and other peoples of the Western Desert Cultural Bloc. By the 1990s, dreaming had acquired its own currency in popular culture, based on ideals, focalised concepts of Australian mythology. Since the 1970s, dreaming has also returned from the academic usage via popular culture, tourism, and is now ubiquitous to the English vocabulary of Australian Aboriginals, in a kind of self-fulfilling academic prophecy. Etymology. The station master, magistrate, and amateur ethnographer, Francis Gillen used the first times in an ethnographical report in 1896 with Walter Baldwin Spencer. Gillen published a major work, Native Tribes of Central Australia, in 1899. In that work, they spoke of the name that applied to the far distant past with the earliest traditions of the tribal deal. 5 years later, in the northern tribes of Central Australia, they glossed the far distant ages, the dream times, link it to the word Altrani, meaning dream, and it affirmed that the term is current also along the Celtish and Yamata Jara. Sorry for saying that wrong. Early doubts about the position of Spencer and Gillen's English gloss were expressed by the German Lutheran pastor and missionary Karl Strohel in the 1908 book Die Adra. He noted that his Adrian contacts explained Altrata where etymology was unknown, as a being whose etymology was unknown, as an eternal being who had no beginning. In the language, the proper verb for to dream was literally to see God. Strawhole theorized the noun is somewhat rare word, which Spencer and Gillen gave a corrupted translation and a false etymology. The native Strawhole concluded, knows nothing of Dreamtime as a designation of a certain period in history. Strawhole gives Mara meaning good as the actual word for the eternal creator of the world and humankind. Strawhole describes him as a tall, strong man, red skin, long fair hair, and emu legs, with many red-skinned wives, with dog legs and children. In Strawhole's account, he lives in the sky, which is the body of land through which runs through the Milky Way, or a river. They say it's like a snake, I don't know. However, By the time Strawhall was writing, his contacts had been converts to Christianity for decades, and critics suggested that the Outra had been used by missionaries for a word as the Christian God. So in 1926, Spencer conducted a field study to challenge Strawhall's conclusions about the Outra and implied criticisms of Gillen and Spencer's original work. Spencer found attestations of the Eldra from 1890s that used the word to mean associated with past times or eternal, not God. Academic Sam Gill finds Strawhall's use of the Atra ambiguous, sometimes describing a supreme being and sometimes describing a totem being, but not necessarily a supreme one. He attributes the clash partly to Spencer's cultural evolutionist beliefs that the Aboriginal people were at pre-religion stage of development and thus could not believe in a supreme being, while Strawhall as a Christian missionary found presence of a belief in the divine a useful entry point for the protestalizing. Linguist David Campbell Moore is critical of Spencer and Gillian's Dreamtime translation, concluding Dreamtime was mistranslation based on an etymological connection between a dream and atra, which held only over a limited geographical domain. There was some semantic relationship between atra and dream, but to imagine that the later captures the essence of atra is an illusion. Other terms. The complex of religious beliefs encapsulated by the Dreamtime dreamings are also called, and I don't want to say these names wrong because it does offend them. I think the only one I can say is the Arnhem Land. In English, anthropologists have variously translated words normally understood to mean dreaming or dream time in a variety of other ways, including Everywhen, world dawn, ancestral past, ancestral present, ancestral now, satirically, unfixed in time, abiding events, or abiding law. Most translations of the dreaming into other languages are based on the translation of the word dream. Examples include escapes de Reeves in French, dream spaces, and the Genevieve in Croatian are grand, derived from the verb for to dream. The concept of dreaming is inadequately explained by English terms and difficult to explain in terms of non-Aboriginal cultures. It has been described as an all-embracing concept that provides rules for living, a moral code, as well as rules for interacting with people with natural environment, provides for a total and integrated way of life, a lived daily reality. It embraces past, present, and future. Another definition suggests that it represents the relationship between people, plants, animals, and the physical features of the land. The knowledge of how these relationships came to be and what they mean and how they need to be maintained in the daily life and in ceremony. According to Simon Wright, Jakpara has an expansive meaning for Ropili people, sorry for saying it wrong, encompassing on their own law and regulated related cultural knowledge systems, along with what non-Indigenous people refer to as dreaming. And dreaming is often associated with a particular place, and they may not be specific belong to specific ages, gender, or skin groups. Dreaming may be represented in artworks, for example, can't say that, Theo Faye. Nangla represents the dreaming of Vaughan Springs in Northern Territory and belongs to the Japanga, Nanapaga, and the Japangari. I can't say these wrongs, but why am I seeing Japan there? It's weird, isn't it? Aboriginals' beliefs and cultures. Related entities known as the Murra or Diri as dreaming is now also used as a term for a system of totemic symbols so that the Aboriginal person may own specific dreaming, such as the kangaroo dreaming, shark dreaming, honey ant dreaming, badger dreaming, or any combination of dreamings pertaining to their country. This is because the dreaming an individual's entire ancestry exists at once, accumulating in the idea that all worldly knowledge is accumulated through one's ancestors. And it's like it's in our DNA. Many Aboriginals Australians also refer to the world creation time as dream time. The dreaming laid down the patterns of life for Aboriginal people. Creation is believed to be the work of culture heroes who travelled across formless land, creating sacred sites and significant places of interest in their travels. In this way, songlines or Uri or the Watapai, sorry, I can't say it, were established, some of which could travel right across Australia. Though as many as 6 to 10 different language groupings, the dreaming and travelling traits of these heroic spirit beings are the songlines. The signs of the spirit beings may be a spiritual essence, physical remains such as petrosomatographs of body impressions or footprints along natural and elemental simulacra. Some of the ancestor or spirit beings inhabiting the Dreamtime become one with parts of the landscape, such as the rocks or trees. The concept of a life force is often associated with sacred sites and ceremonies performed at such sites, or are a recreation of the events which created the site during the dreaming. The ceremony helps life force at the site to remain active and to keep creating new life. It is not performed, a new life cannot be created. Dreaming exists before the life of an individual begins and continues to exist when the life of the individual ends, both before and after life. It is believed that the spiritual child exists in the dreaming and is only initiated into life by being born through the mother. The spirit of the child is culturally understood to enter the developing fetus during the 5th month of pregnancy. When the mother felt the child move in the womb for the first time, it was thought that this was the work of the spirit of the land in which the mother then stood. Upon birth, the child is considered to be a special custodian of that part of their country and is taught the stories and song lines about that place. As Wolf, 94, page 14 states, a blackfellow may regard his totem or place from which his spirit came as he's dreaming. He may also regard tribal law as he's dreaming. In the Wangana genre, the songs and dances express themes related to death and regeneration. They are performed publicly, with the singer composing from their daily lives or while dreaming of, I can't even say it, dead spirit. The dreaming stories vary throughout Australia with variations on the same theme. The meaning and significance of popular places and creatures is welded into their origin in the dreaming, and certain places have a particular potency for dreaming. For example, the story of how the sun is made is different in New South Wales and Western Australia. Stories cover many themes and topics, as well as there are stories about creation of sacred places, lands, people, animals, plants, laws, and customs. In Perth, the Noongar believe that the Darling Scrape is the body of Wangerel, a serpent being that meandered over the land, creating rivers, waterways, lakes, which created the Swan River. Another example, Gangju people of Arnhem Land, for which the Kakadu National Park is named, is believed to be that the sandstone escarpment that dominates the park's landscape was created in the Dreamtime when Gina, the crocodile man, was badly burned during a ceremony and jumped in the water to save himself. And there's really cool stories about the Aboriginal Dreamtime. I know, like the willy wagtail bird is supposed to be a creature, an entity that was really mischievous and got up to no good, so he was turned into a bird. There used to be lots of these sort of artworks all over Australia, but they've been destroyed. They got the jackhammers to them, or they blew them up. This is at the Carnarvon Gorge. I've been there. It's absolutely beautiful. You got to walk up through the amphitheatre, and it's a long walk, but it's certainly worth it. Sometimes they close it off. They don't let people go there. They still have a lot of ceremonies there too.